Okay, we're ready.
Notice is hereby given that a special meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas will be held on Thursday, May 2nd, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall, 22870 Priest Road, Sandy Oaks, Texas, where a quorum of the City Council will be present. All agenda items are subject to action. You can join the meeting at the Zoom link provided in the agenda. The public will be permitted to offer public comments in person, telephonically, or by audio as provided by the agenda, and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting by signing up with the city secretary at least 15 minutes in advance of the meeting. If providing comments in person and at least 2 hours in advance of the meeting by emailing city secretary at cityofsandyoaks.com or by calling 607-0834 and speaking telephonically or by audio. An audio recording of the meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Texas Public Information Act upon written request. Madam Secretary, may I have a call to order and to form? The time is now 6:32 p.m. We are now in session. Madam Secretary, may I have a call to order and form, please?
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado.
Here.
Alderman Fillinger.
Here.
Alderman Coffin-Dapper.
Here.
Alderman Rapino.
Here.
Alderman Tremblay.
Here.
And Miss Cassandra Ortiz. Here. All right, you have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, citizens to be heard, persons wishing to speak may sign up with the city secretary in the time and manner as indicated above. This time is provided to citizens to address the city council on issues of concern related to the city of Sandy Oaks. Please note that the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the city council from responding, commenting, or discussing items or topics during this portion of the meeting that are not included on the agenda. The city council appreciates hearing from the citizens, and your thoughts and questions are valued. However, civility and a sense of decorum will be strictly followed. All speakers must address their comments to the city council. Speakers shall refrain from public criticism of members of the city council that are prohibited by law. This item will be open for up to 30 minutes with 3 minutes to each speaker. One person may speak on behalf of a group. Up to 3 people may register on behalf of the group for the spokesperson to be allotted up to 9 minutes to speak. If there are more than 10 speakers, each will be given 2 minutes or 6 minutes for a group's spokesperson. Madam Secretary, do we have anybody signed up?
We have one person signed up, and I'm sorry, I didn't.
Thank you. We have Mr. David Reyes. Sir, you have the floor.
Okay, so this is kind of about the police force. I've looked at stats up. I'm sure everyone will be surprised. About 31% of policemen actually live in the communities that they patrol. And I can't speak for everyone in the community, but I would think that most people would prefer that their neighborhoods be patrolled by police officers that actually live there. I know with Sandy Oaks being so small, we don't have a huge pool of candidates to fill these positions. But I do want to take a moment to recognize one police officer in particular. Officer Chris Maldonado, who is no longer with Sandy Oaks PD, but should be. Let me tell you why. A few weeks ago, Officer Maldonado apprehended someone who stole a vehicle, but not before the suspect recklessly sped through our community, putting several lives in danger, crashed through my front fence, drove through my property, eventually crashing into my neighbor's yard, only stopping because he hit a tree. Officer Maldonado then chased this guy across several properties on foot, eventually catching up with him and having to fight with him for 15 minutes. At that time, at any time, Officer Maldonado could have shot this guy dead, but he chose better. He chose better judgment. This is the type of officer we need in this community. As I understand it, Mr. Chris Maldonado has left to seek employment with a different department, and likely there's nothing we can do about that. I would like to ask the council to consider reaching out to Chris and making him an offer to rejoin Sandy Oaks PD. It's likely he'll decline, but consider this. Rounds in professional boxing only last 3 minutes each. UFC and MMA matches, 5 minutes each. Officer Maldonado went toe to toe with this guy for 15 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, I believe there's nobody else signed up, so we'll move to the next agenda item, mayor and administrator announcements. Only announcement I have is that we have, scheduled our time to be at, Commissioners Court to honor our 10-year anniversary, so the public is welcome to join that. It will be at 9 AM at the courthouse downtown. And yes, I know parking is hard to find over there, but if you plan it out accordingly, you could be there to commemorate. It would be May 21st is City of Sandy Oaks Day, which I get is about 7 days or so after our actual 10th anniversary. But again, I've posted stuff on Nextdoor. It is open to the public and everybody is welcome to join if you are willing or able to. I know also there's been some public ask for more events. However, I will say with the staff as limited as we are, being that we have other responsibilities, if you want to do other activities within the city, come on in and help us coordinate. We'll find some money, we'll find some time, we'll make it as successful as you want it to. But we got to have a volunteer committee to help plan and set up and establish, because we can't put that on an already strained staff to begin with. So if you want to see something really nice and pretty, please come out and help us plan out something really nice and pretty. Okay. That's all the announcements that I have for today. Moving right along, agenda item 5, new business, discussion or action related to filling the office of police chief. I believe, Charles, if you want to take the lead on that one, other than that, I just think it's that we need to agree to post the position and.
Well, and that's true. We do need to discuss advertising the position. The question that comes to my mind, and that's why we have a discussion, not necessarily action. Do we want to ask Corporal Castillo to fill any of the chief's duties above, being the training officer? If we do so, are we going to give him an interim title or just leave him at Corporal Castillo? Without someone heading that department, our court system is going to close down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we do need to address, the functions of the police chief that relate to preparing court cases needs to continue while we search for a new police chief. I'll be blunt. I really like Corporal Castillo, but he's not at the point in his life where he can nearly be promoted to chief.
Very well. So just as a,
I was gonna ask a question.
Sure.
I understand where you're at with that. My question is, would the corporal be willing to fulfill some of those duties?
And that's why I said we need to do.
I didn't know if you talked to him, because I have not.
so I did run it by him as far as a couple of things. Maybe not saying we want you to be the chief, but more so like taking on some of the responsibilities, especially like with body cam footage. Because once his camera is full, he can no longer patrol. So those are things that I talked to him about. Did he have access? He said no, because that's the things that the chief would handle. So I told him, I said, you need to find a way to get an account, because I can't have you coming off of duty and just sitting around. So he understands that there's going to be an influx of responsibilities. I've also talked to him about switching shifts from, from where it's at to something that's more in line with court and things like that. He was a little bit less willing to do that, only because I also asked him to help out on a weekend, right? Give up a Friday, give up a Tuesday, whatever it may be, to show up on a Saturday or a Sunday, right? Just so that we have more of a visible coverage during our more busier times. I don't want him here alone at night, because although we have Bear County patrolling, who knows how long it's gonna take for them to respond. So he seemed okay to the idea, however, he wanted time to think about it. So I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's the right move on the interim basis. And I agree that he is not ready for that type of role as a whole, as a promotion. But I think he could certainly pick up some of the slack and help continue the court operation and fill in some of those duties. So I can certainly present it with
And
him.
you asked him about attending meetings.
I didn't think about that, yeah. But yeah,
And
you're
again,
gonna have to,
we have options with that. We can hire an off-duty constable or deputy.
Mhm.
We did that for years. And I would say giving that thought would probably be a good thing.
Mhm.
It's been a number of years since we had a rousing city council meeting,
Yeah.
but part of that is because we did have security at the meeting.
I wouldn't mind paying him that extra money. I think that would be better use of our dollars, but yeah, we can certainly look, and I can call county and ask them to, if they have somebody available every second and fourth Thursday. If he's not available to be
Or
here.
the cost, and you look at the cost of what would pay
Yeah.
Bear County, what would pay him for.
Yeah, because it's gonna be a premium, that's for sure. So
Yeah.
they're overall, so.
If he's willing to work it on an overtime basis.
Yeah.
And he's familiar with everybody, he could still do a police report.
Yeah.
He could still give us a monthly report.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what would stop us from hiring them for off duty on a Saturday or Sunday? Hiring Bear County to do that versus having them sitting here doing nothing.
I
I
don't.
already do that. Not, we already have Bear County.
I'm saying we have them devoted here specifically.
Okay, you
And
want-
the Oaks for 8 hours, whatever, we pick an 8 hour shift and we want them here for 8 hours on either Saturday or Sunday from 3 to 11 or from. Is that feasible, is legal?
It would be legal. I don't know how the logistics would work out.
And we wouldn't expect them to enforce ordinances, it would be strictly for, the same things that they would do in speeding, running stop signs, actual crime.
So
Is what we would want them to enforce.
I talked to a deputy this morning, and I told him, kind of what's going on, and he said, well, we don't really increase patrol when you don't have people, but we are around. I said, well, what about traffic control, things like that? Well, that's not really something we do unless it's a grievance, right? Like they see it and you just blow through a stop sign. So they're not gonna really, as a county, right, as a county officer, they're not gonna do speed and stuff like that. Now, to your point, right, if we could hire them, that's another option. We can certainly look into that and see if it is viable. And then, but as far as crime is concerned, they're gonna have to
They're
respond.
available.
Yeah, they have to
Right.
respond, right?
Right.
As
But
a
if they're here already, we're gonna pay them to be here for that,
county.
those hours.
Yeah.
Whichever we should decide.
Yeah.
We know that they're sitting here at the corner, at the Bolero, and, they're somewhere in the city where it's a quicker response.
Yeah.
They
But-
could be sitting over at the fire station.
Yeah.
For all that.
But okay, no, but I
But
think,
that's just some options we have. We pay the guy we have. Do we ask him to change shifts? Do we impose, impose on him on his lifestyle, which he's already, got his lifestyle set on what his shifts are now. Maybe
he is scheduled to change shifts, in July. I thought it was June or July, June or July.
Do what
Uh,
hours?
would prefer not to discuss it in public.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
but he is scheduled to change something that's more
convenient with office hours, I guess let's say
So I
that.
just should get talking to him and then looking to Bear County and seeing what could we get from Bear County? And we have to pay them, we want, maybe talk to the county commissioner,
Dedicated,
see what the county commissioner can do for us meanwhile.
or
until
the
we get a-
constable or something like
Yeah,
that.
until we can get our, the budget fulfilled.
Yeah, his concern is, he brought up the person that, the previous chief was interviewing. His concern was, are we gonna get some more backup, right? Which is fair, it's a fair assessment and a fair question. Anyway, moving that's off topic, but he does have a concern about, backup in here and bringing more.
Well, I would-
more police to do, yeah. So we'll have to, I think.
We're wondering pretty far away from the
Yes,
agenda item.
yeah.
Uh,
But I think we can, going back to IA, right, we can certainly ask Castillo to fill in some of the blanks that are left by the departure of the chief. Whether you choose to accept it or not, I'll report back. And then but I need him to dial it in and figure out where do we need his efforts at. And that'll come with a change of scenery for him, so.
Do we have a list of responsibilities we'd like him to pick up on? So I'm hearing a few of them being kicked around, but is there something,
I think it's mostly related to the court system. I couldn't name off every one of them or one of them.
when you have that conversation with the gentleman, please have something itemized. So that way it's not vague for him, he understands exactly.
Yeah.
What we're looking for.
Yeah.
Mostly utilizing the system to report.
Yeah.
Everything that's happened, so it gets into the court system.
So like I said, for him
Yeah.
to have that conversation.
Okay. And then I'll go ahead and have another conversation with him. Back to you.
and we can discuss it further at next week's meeting.
Okay. All right, so no real action to be done here. All right, moving right along, discussion and action on advertising the position of the police chief and authorizing the city secretary to advertise for the position. I mean, we can go through the normal channels of Indeed, Nextdoor. There's plenty of examples out there for police chiefs that have vacancies, so we can certainly take one of their open positions and use that and retool it for our favor. Just make it in alignment with what we have set in place, so.
Being it's a personnel issue, I think we need to discuss compensation and benefits. We're not do that in a second.
That's only way out for the city.
Yeah, we have a pay scale for the police chief, so we'll keep it in that for now until we get some
We
kickback.
can't
there.
offer them, we're not gonna gain anybody if we don't offer enough money.
Well,
We've gotta be offering competitively with what other cities are giving.
and I think that's fair. What I will say in response to it is that what I will say in response is that we're not looking for a decorated police chief, right? Because that's somebody we cannot afford. We're looking for whatever the level is below, that's looking to make that jump, that's looking to get experience.
We need an experience first.
Okay, gentlemen,
Yes, sir.
can I point out that we're off the agenda item,
Sure.
and let's talk about advertising the
Sure.
position.
Yep.
In the past, we have advertised with the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, TCO. I believe we advertised with TML. They have a job listing. Of course, our website. And I believe we normally publish for a month in our newspaper.
Wilson County.
Wilson County, no. That's as best I remember the procedures we've gone through in the past. Yeah, if anybody else has an idea.
Well, I'd like to once again bring up what we've also discussed recently. The website you said, like Indeed, LinkedIn. But when we post this position, that we leave it posted until it's filled.
Yeah.
Rather than putting a time on it, because in past,
It's expired.
one, it would expire, two,
Excuse me,
people would stop.
the month long, I'm only talking about the Wilson County news, to be honest. I don't expect a lot of traffic from the Wilson County, news, but it is our paper of record. So we should publish it there.
I understand.
As far as the TCO, TML, yeah. LinkedIn, yeah, leave it till it's, and our website, leave it till,
Yeah, leave it to the positions.
I did get TCO credentials recently, so I can post it.
good.
Awesome. I make a motion that we publish for this position, and Indeed, LinkedIn, TICO, TML, until the position is filled. And we publish for 30 days in the Wilson County paper.
Okay. We got a motion from Alderman Coffindaffer,
I'd second that.
all right? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, you do, okay. And all those opposed? All right, that passes. We will get started on that. Okay, moving right along to the next item, agenda item D, executive session to deliberate the appointment duties, discipline, or dismissal of court clerk Catherine Pursuant.
Get to you.
Did I see one? Yes. Oh, sorry, yeah. Sorry. C, discussion and interaction on appointing an interim city administrator in accordance with ordinance number 2018-110. Okay, so with the city administrator, I know that's been a hot topic issue. I'll just say that I think we should get somebody. I think they do need to be full-time. I do think they need to be paid full-time. I don't think that it should be on an interim basis. I don't think that it should be a voluntary position. And I don't think that it should be somebody on the council or somebody that lives within the city. But something for discussion.
Okay, I believe almost exactly opposite of you. Okay. And again, the specific, I'm not disagreeing.
Sure.
With, we do need a full-time administrator. I am not disagreeing with that. But again, it's not on the agenda, so.
Okay, gotcha. I see what you're saying. Yep.
However, and I almost don't want to bring this up, but you have stated you don't have time for some aspects of the city administrative job. Yeah, I more than understand that. You're on the road a lot, you're not physically in the city a lot, or a fair amount of time. Yeah. You have your family, you have your children, you have activities you need to speak with. But the duties still need to be performed. Okay. There needs to be some oversight here in City Hall. Doesn't have to be all day, every day. There
Already
are,
we're looking out for the intern, sir.
Hang on, let me finish. Go ahead, sir.
but I don't mind being interrupted. What was your question, sir?
I'm just trying to get it. I know you two are not in total agreement. Is there somebody that we're looking at to fill this position? As an intern?
Well, it's my first choice is not available. And my second choice doesn't meet Michael's standards for not being a council member. But Ms. Tremblay has filled the position of interim administrator in the past successfully. And, you know, I'm sure he could rely on other council members if he could designate parts of the administrative duty to report to him.
In other words, we do need immediate
We
interim city administrator.
we have been without an administrator for a number of years. And that was part of the issue when Mayor Ball resigned. But I think some of the issues we have been faced with in the last few months would not have been faced with if we had an administrator regularly in business.
I agree. We do need somebody to fill this position. I have to agree with the mayor, it cannot be any other city in the state. I have that feeling because, one, if any of us tried to resign right now by state law, we can't resign the position that easily. I
No,
believe,
sir, all you have to do is write
Hear me
a
out.
statement. All you have to do is write a statement.
okay. I don't think that somebody sitting on city council should be in that position. I do not believe that we can afford to lose anybody from this table right now with the problems that our city is facing. Everybody that is sitting here is a volunteer and elected, and we need them. Every last one of us to fill this position. Do we need somebody to fill as an intern or hire somebody? Yes. We have not advertised for anybody to fill this position in the 2 years that I've sat here. So one, we need to advertise this.
Sir,
Appoint somebody tonight.
excuse me. Because I'm, once again, you're off the agenda.
No, sir, I'm talking about,
Sir,
let me see, appointing an intern city administrator.
Appointing, that's it.
So then your point is,
Yes.
hold on.
So I'm saying,
So your point is that we should. We should.
not somebody from this table, no, sir. If there's somebody in our community, if they're on another committee, that's fine. But if there's somebody in our community that we find that can do this position, that's who we need.
do you have a recommendation, sir?
I wish I knew the citizens better, where I could make that recommendation.
I think
Tom?
that we should, one, the point is, we need somebody now, and if it has to be somebody from this table, then it needs to be now. We can always then advertise in hopes that we will get somebody, and then that duty can be transferred to them, but right now, we need somebody to fill that role, and if it has to be somebody from this table and somebody willing to do the job on an interim basis and a part-time basis, and then we can,
I'll make a motion to
Delegate.
appoint Miss Melissa Hadley as the intern.
go ahead.
I made a motion that we appoint Melissa Hadley as an intern for this position. She's been on our P and Z.
Have you spoken with,
No, I haven't yet.
She should be here today, so.
Or refused,
Great, she should be.
but we've had that happen before.
I know she has.
Okay, the
her
motion is-
schedule is very tight.
a motion's on the table, David, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, so the motion is to appoint, Miss Melissa Hadley as interim city manager in accordance with ordinance 2018-110. All those in favor say aye.
There's no.
I mean, yeah, can I have is there a second? Okay, there's no second. Alderman Shalhoub.
I would first ask you, what is it that you don't have time to do? As the administrator, you can delegate duties. So what is it you can't do? And maybe we could, rather than, I don't want to take on all the responsibilities of the city administrator. But if there's some things that you can't do, maybe we can amongst the members here, we can figure it out, where you can say, okay, I need help with this, this, and this, and then we can take it on. But for me to just take the whole.
Yeah.
I don't,
The
what
big-
is it that you don't have time to
The
do?
biggest issue that I've struggled with is the HR side. And I say that because things have not been presented to me, things have gone around me. So the look is that I'm not doing anything, I'm not actioning. So I think if we can avoid that and funnel it through the proper chain of command, then I think things will run smoothly. But as of the recent issues, they've gone to everybody but me, so that it looks like an inaction on my part. That's where I think this is kind of stemming from, but that's just my opinion.
I know there are things that are administrator's duties that we haven't done. That they're not getting done and they won't get done.
Such as,
bringing in outside businesses, going out and try and find and,
To say that,
there's things that aren't gonna get done, look at the dude.
I think that would be an unfair statement, and I'm not saying. So I have been looking, right, I've looked at little pizza chains, and I think about, what do I need coming in at 8 o'clock with my kids, right? And they're all hungry, so I'm like, look at pizza chains, we've looked at washaterias. The biggest, and we're super perfect here, but the biggest drawback that I get out here is that was a lack of sewer. So I mean, I have been trying to bring in businesses, but it's gotta be septic practice.
So your biggest issue is HR. If you
I
end
would
up with
say-
HR, you would have no problem.
Yeah, I would say so, only because again, it has not been funneled through me, it's not through everybody else. So there's that, but I mean, grant writing, I'm trying, I'm certainly making it work, budgeting, making it work. Time and attendance, I'm fixing that, all right, it was the Wild West here when I got here. We fixed that. You know, Grace has helped me out with some of the policy, right, where I'm not here all the time because I have to travel, she stepped in. So I mean, I think,
Well, Michael, excuse me,
sure, yeah,
have you made it known that if there are HR issues within the administration, that they should go to a specific person?
I think it's always been, and maybe that's my fault, is I should have reiterated the fact that it does funnel through me, right? So as the city administrator, and I say me, I mean the city administrator, should have always funneled through them because they are,
So if we make that known that if there's an HR issue with any of our employees.
Yeah.
That it should go to a specific person rather than hazard, call me, call.
right? I think that's a fair way to bring in the reins, right? I mean, there's times that I call Cassandra when it was gonna come down to budget, right? How did we do this? You know, I've called Charles on budgets and he's like, well, you know, and I remember this because you're like, well, just call the county. And that's ultimately what I did, but I want to know why I do these,
Well,
do
that's
these things.
fine on.
So I mean,
part of it.
I make time, right? I make the time because I do have the flexibility. But it's bringing everybody in now that it's kind of,
If an employee has an issue, they should, and it's an HR type issue, then they should come to the person designated to handle things.
Yeah.
And so they need a focal point to come to. And if that's not been defined, and we can't expect them to do it right. So,
And to be fair, you know, as far as cash handling policy and everything, I did come to you first.
Yeah.
And I asked you, you know, I mean, what's being done?
Yeah.
You know, and so I followed through,
Yeah,
I-
I'm going to raise the point again.
agenda.
yeah.
I know, sorry,
Yeah.
just, I was going to this point.
okay, so let's move ahead.
I hate to be the
Oh,
spoiler
no,
for
that's
here, but we're all.
Do we have somebody that we can, that we'd like to put up? Our next scheduled meeting is next week.
Yeah.
correct? I'd like to postpone this till then. So that way the city council members can work harder at finding somebody for this. We've known about the need for a very long time. Okay? I think we also need to add to our next agenda along with this. Not just to have, sir, I'm asking for the postponement of this
And I agree.
and to add the advertisement to it.
So then we will go ahead and postpone agenda item C to be added to the May 9th agenda. Yeah, we'll take care of that. Okay,
May what?
May 9th,
May
next week. Okay, so moving right along. To agenda item D, executive session to deliberate the appointment, employment duties, discipline, and dismissal as code first. Personnel to pursue the Texas Government Code Section 551.074 personnel matters. Time is now 7:06. We are in executive session. Because of the relatively thin walls here, I do ask everybody in the audience to move to the lobby. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Okay, the time is now 7:53. We are in session. All right, moving on to agenda item E, discuss and or possible action on appointment, employment duty, discipline, or dismissal of court clerk Catherine Yelton. It was over, guys.
I'll make a motion that we turn this issue over to the mayor. He will take care of it. And we leave it, whatever his decision is, where we're at.
Great, the motion is that the decision for court clerk be moved over to the mayor's interim city manager. We have a second by Alderman Rupino. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion now that we,
Ma'am, all those opposed? All right, that motion passes.
I'll make a motion on item 6. Anybody second that?
Don't need a second, third, motion carries.
Motion.
7:54, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank y'all for coming back.